Hi, I'm Patricia Polacco, and this is the Christmas season of 2018. I thought I would begin, though, with a very special message to a little girl that I know. Her mother, Ashley, is my physician. The little girl's name is Charlotte, and I believe this year she is of the age where she is questioning her mother, does Santa really exist? This, of course, is the age-old question that troubles children at one time or another in their life. So this is something I want to talk to Charlotte specifically about, and any other children that might be watching. I wrote a book, I want to say 2 Christmases ago, called Gifts of the Heart. Now this is a true story, but I'm going to tell you things about this story that are not in the book. But every holiday we used to go downtown, my brother and I, and we'd press our noses into the window of a local kind of haberdashery or five and dime. And in that window was sitting the most beautiful ballerina doll and a great big model of a train. Now, my mother was a single mother and a teacher, and it wasn't likely she could buy this for either one of us. And we lived with my grandfather. The May before this Christmas, my babushka, my grandmother, had passed away. So it was kind of a bittersweet Christmas. But there we were. We pressed our noses against the window. And I remember saying to my brother, "Oh, Richie, do you think if we go ask Santa, he might actually bring that?" I do believe we went into that little store. I'll show you what it looks like, the outside drawings that I did. Well, this is my grandfather's Model A Ford that we drove from his farm down to downtown Union City. And let me show you the downtown's kind of landscape, because it was absolutely, the little town is amazing. Let me see if I can find it. I'm proud of it because the drawing I did of that town is something you just, we have very few photos of it actually. Hang on, this is a very new book. Hang on, well, at any rate, so we went to downtown Union City because the big Santa parade was going to happen, and this was our opportunity to ask Santa for that doll and that train. Well, I remember when the parade went by, my brother and I were so short, and a whole bunch of grown-ups had crowded in front of us to the point we were pushed down in the snow. I mean, I think all I saw was Santa's glove as he rode by. And I cried to my brother, "We've missed our chance. Santa, we're not gonna be able to tell him." Well, anyway, we got in my grandpa's Model A Ford, and we started driving towards our farm, which here in Union City is on Dunks Road. You do a left turn on Trams, another left on Girard, and there was our farm. But we're driving down Dunks Road. We get to the intersection of Arborgrass Road and Dunks Road. All of a sudden, I heard the sound of bells in the sky above us. And I asked Grandpa, "Stop the car, stop the car." We did, and we pulled in next to the pasture. And when we looked up in the air, there was something that I am never going to explain as long as I live. This was 70 years ago. A whole group of lights, and the bells got louder and louder. It was Santa. And I remember nudging my brother and saying, "There he is, and there's his deer." And Grandpa saying, "Oh my God, get in the car. You've got to get home. You've got to get to sleep before he comes." So Grandpa drove that car, I think at the thrilling speed of 30 miles an hour. At that time, that was huge. And the next thing we knew, my brother we were lying there together. And I heard this bumping on the roof, and then I heard the sound of deer's hooves on the roof, and I said, "Oh, it's Santa, and he's going to come down the chimney, and oh, Richie, fall asleep, fall asleep." And both of us closed our eyes as tightly as we could. The next thing I knew, it was morning. And when my brother and I walked out in our parlor, there under the tree was that beautiful ballerina doll, and next to her was that train. And I remember my mother and my grandfather coming into the room, and my mother kind of questioning my grandfather if he got it for us, and he shook his head no. He asked her if she had. She shook her head no. Nobody knew where that came from. I do. At any rate, my brother and I then got into our snowsuits because we were told, well, why don't you go on outside? We want you to go play till dinner is served. And Richie and I went out in the front yard of that farm. And as we looked back at the house, I don't know if you can see this, there were 2 sleigh marks on the roof and a whole bunch of deer prints. And I signaled to my brother, Richie, look, that's where Santa landed. He did, Charlotte. As God is my witness, that's what the roof looked like. Well, we followed those tracks out onto the lawn, and they went along, and then suddenly, abruptly stopped, as if they had lifted off from the ground. My brother and I stared at that sky for the longest time in full wonder, thinking, oh, Santa was here. He was here. And then my brother said, look, Tricia, look. And there in the snow, in the midst of all those tracks, was a leather bell strap. It looked like a piece of that bell strap had broken off from the sleigh. We bent over and we picked it up. Charlotte, I have had that very bell strap for 70 years. And here it is. This is the bell strap that we found in the front yard. And I believe as long as I live, that was on Santa's sleigh. Now there are those that will say it is the spirit of giving that is Santa. It is the spirit of Christmas, and certainly it is. I know when Christmas rolls around, people seem a little jollier. They seem a little happier. People greet each other on the streets and say, Merry Christmas, and they seem to mean it. And that's such a wonderful feeling. Certainly that is Christmas. But Charlotte, what I want you to know, and this is coming from me, oh yes, Charlotte, there is a Santa. There is.